Hi everybody, this is Matt Lawton, and this is the Astrological Winds channel, and I'm going to take a look at the astrological weather report for the month of August. It's August 1st, Happy Lammas Day, and also the first week of August, so that would be August 1st through 7th. So just a little business first. Remember, when you're listening to the blog, if you don't understand astrological terms well, don't get caught up on what those terms I am that is saying. What you want to hear is my interpretation of what that energy is in between those terms. So focus on that, and that way you won't be, getting lost or confused by, trying to figure out the terms. Now, obviously, I like to mention the terms for all those people who do know some astrology, and, it helps them to understand, astrology on an even deeper level. But the Astrological Winds channel is a free service. It is on YouTube every week. If you have a YouTube account, become a follower and turn on your notifications, and you'll know when the blog is coming up. Since it is a free service, I ask that you please pass the link on to anyone you know who might be interested in checking it out. That is really the best way to pay me back, although I am open to any donations, and I do have a Venmo account, and the handle is at, the at symbol, Matthew, with 2 T's, hyphen, in the middle, Lawton, Lauten. Now, you don't really need to see me or the podcast, really, or the channel. You can listen to it actually on a podcast, and it's available on all types of podcasts. It's distributed out by Buzzsprout. I know Spotify picks it up, Apple iPodcasts, Reveal. I think there's about 20 of them. So just do a search on your favorite podcasts. And like I said, really not necessarily, I don't really show much in video, so not really necessary to see that. Also, other ways you can stay connected to the Astrological Winds channel is if you have an Instagram account. Become a follower on that. Just look up Astrological Winds channel, become a follower, and you get bonus material if you have an Instagram account, because during the week, usually a couple times or so, I will get into some deeper explanation of certain days that have a lot going on, that on a deeper level than on the weekly podcast. And that's not video or audio. That's just a couple sentences or so usually. So it only takes, less than a minute to check it out. Also, I do post the link on my Facebook account. However, my Facebook account is private, so you need to friend request me first. And once again, it's Matthew with 2 T's, Lawton, Lauten. It is the only thing I use Facebook for. So that really, if you're not, astrology is my only outlet for that. So it's not really a social thing for me otherwise. But anyway, so those are other ways that you can get in touch with me. And the other best way that you can support me is when you or someone want or need a reading, come to me and drop me an email, and that's at matthe823@gmail.com. I've been doing professional readings for 20 years. Natal charts, which is what I suggest first if you don't know your own chart really well. Like if you only got a partial reading from a friend who knows some astrology, that's not really well. So you need to know that, because you take that with you your whole life. And then, just like this astrological weather report, I recommend getting your own predictive or astrological weather report each year right around your birthday, and we look at the year ahead and see what kind of energy is coming in this year, so that you know what the main challenges are on your plate, and can have a better strategy of being able to approach those in a successful way. Relationship charts, relocation, astrocartography charts, elections, if you're looking for the best day and time to start something important like a business or wedding. Simple horary charts where you're looking for a yes or no answer to something that you just can't seem to get the answer from the universe from. Also do fixed star readings for those who are interested in a deeper soul purpose kind of energy and any kind of specific question that you have too. We can look in your chart. So just once again, email me, matthure823@gmail.com. Also, you can always leave comments in the comment section on the YouTube channel, etc. But I'm going to just tell you to email me anyway. So that's really the best way to get me. Okay, so got the business out of the way there, and I'm going to look at August first. And there's 3 things really I want to mention in August. So I know I got a lot of new followers, but I also know there's been people following the blog for a long time. And I don't want to, for those people that have been following a long time, this first thing I'm going to mention is kind of a little bit flogging a dead horse a little bit, but it's really, really important for what we are going to see for the rest of this calendar year, really. And so I've been mentioning for, the last 2 years, really, that, that there's 2 squares, but that have been really running in the background and really affecting, society and humans and our behavior in these long-term ways. And one of them is the Saturn-Uranus square, which, in a nutshell, as I've said many times before, is watching our structures fall apart rapidly. A lot of upsetting change. This is, it can be seen across society the last couple of years. There's so many obvious examples. And obviously, that filters down into people's personal lives too, which, most of us have been having a lot of rapid change and having to adapt to new things when, the economy is flying and there's war going on and large, disease type vector things going on. I mean, it's just a lot of structural stuff falling apart. And then there's the Eris Pluto square, which is the other square, and Eris, a relatively new body we're working with, but she represents, change that's very rapid and unthought out, driven by passion, both negative and positive. And Pluto's all about transformation and literally, the cycle of birth, death, and rebirth, and, rising from the ashes. At the same time, we're also having the Pluto return of the United States, which just had its second exact hit here in July. And that, in every country or empire or whatever it may be that goes through Pluto returns, which, it's only every 250 years almost, goes through a serious transformation at the very least to literally the way the country is, and that is if the country even survives that. So the reason I mention all 3 of these things again is not to flog the dead horse, but that they are all getting really tight again. Like I said, the Pluto second hit of the Pluto return just happened last month in July, a couple weeks ago, but as we go into the fall here, the Saturn-Uranus square is already kind of about 2 degrees apart. It's going to get less than a degree apart. So it's going to get very, very acute again. We're going to really see a lot of rapid change and structure falling apart again. And that Eris-Pluto square at the same time is also getting tighter and tighter and within a couple degrees of each other. So once again, a lot of transformational yet chaotic change, and it's challenging. They're both squares. The energy behind them is motivating people to do things, and wanting to act. And so there's a lot of like social unrest. There's a lot of, chaos in the world, a lot of passion from people individually in what they want to do. But, there's like, it's really, triggering a lot of what I would say like deeper emotions that, have people act out in all these different kinds of ways, some of which can be very violent, and some of which are very transformational. And we're also seeing it even, because these planets are outer planets, they not only are affecting like humans on that level, but literally like the natural disasters that, really seem to be going on, and the power struggles in the world that are going on. All these things, are getting very, very intense right now, and will continue to do so for basically this whole autumn, as these guys stay tight. As I said last month, and even last week, we do have Uranus conjunct the North Node, which is kind of interesting because, once again, Uranus is involved, so there's a lot of like individualistic energy. There's a lot of unpredictable energy as to what the individual may do. Yet at the same time, the North Node has the individual seeking out connection and wanting and to form groups over revolutionary or alternative type ideas, which is Uranian, that have to do with resource and the way resources are being dealt with, which, this whole time of Uranus into Taurus, and I said it a couple years ago when it went in, up and down markets, very unpredictable markets and monetary issues. Taurus, all about, security through assets and money and objects and all those things, and Uranus going through is very like upsetting and rapid changes going on. And a lot of that has to do with reality on a bigger situation, like in the sense that like, if grain can't be shipped out of a country because of war or something, then, that's going to affect everyone, so that's just one example of that. And so, the North Node there is saying, hey, there are some people out there who have like these cutting edge ideas in common, and when you can connect with them, it can be very exciting and stimulating and bring new life into your life. But this is like on a community level. Once again, Uranus being one of the outer planets is not so concerned with our little individualistic judgments and desires and likes and dislikes and dividing things up. It's got a higher agenda. And so like it's saying, those people could be out there to connect with, but we're going to go through some very, very strenuous times over the next few months as these two squares get tight again. Now, also this month, there's two other things I wanted to mention. And this first one's pretty big too. Mars on August 20th is going to go into Gemini. And that's like, okay, well, yeah, so it's going into Gemini. But the thing is, Mars is going to go retrograde too in the fall. And that's why I'm saying, there's a lot of stuff in the fall going on. So when Mars goes retrograde every 2.5 years, it's not an easy thing because our actions really get slowed down. So like on October 30th, when it goes retrograde, it's going to like exasperate a lot of the things going on. And note that's right before Election Day in the US again, so it's going to be but anyway, so Mars goes into Gemini, and like I said, Mars in Gemini can be really headstrong, You know, it can really feed like a fanaticism about, you know, attaching yourself to what your ideas and the information you have and the things you believe in. And, you know, in Gemini, half that stuff is probably not correct, you know, or not being interpreted correctly or judged correctly. Yet we have a tendency with Mars there to get really egotistically attached to our ideas and try to force them on others. And we do that, you know, a lot of times, you know, through our words and through arguments and like, you know, like heated discussions kind of things. So it can really be a struggle. Like internally, we can feel a lot of like mental anger, like when Mars is in Gemini, when we can't convince others that, you know, our idea is the correct one, yet we're not really willing to back down. So you can see how this can set up, like, once again, exasperating the situation of those squares where people entrench into a situation and are not willing to, you know, back down and may not even be clear if their information is like completely correct. But it does, it does activate us. It's a yang thing, and we will get very active about wanting to get our ideas into action, to like get our info out there. And it's a very quick energy too. Mars and Gemini are both moving fast. So like the mind, once again, and the actions together can jump from thing to thing very quickly and may not get very much done completely. Like it can start a lot of things, initiate a lot of things, get a lot of projects going, but as far as like getting them to a completion zone, likely not going to happen during a 7-month period starting on August 20th, you know what I mean? And so very, very, very interesting. I mean, it's an impatient energy, you know, and it's a headstrong energy. It might be a good time at times during it to travel, however, you know, and that might be a way we collect some more of our information, or can even like bring some satisfaction to the energy that, you know, is driving us in that Mars and Gemini. And then on August 24th is the last thing I want to mention on the monthly part of this. Uranus will join all the other outer planets and go retrograde. So it'll be like Jupiter's retro, Saturn's retro. Now Uranus will be retro, Neptune's retro, Pluto's retro, Eris is retro, Chiron's retro. So you get the point. And I also mentioned Mars will be going retro on October 30th. So we have one inner planet that's going to be retro for several weeks after that. And then in September, we also get the third round of Mercury retrograde coming up too. So once again, we're going to have super retro energy in the fall. And what does that mean? It means things are going to go backwards, basically. You know, it's going to feel like one step forward, 2 steps back on a lot of areas. A lot of things that we need to reassess. And with that, the outer planets, it's big, it's collective, it's societal, a lot of that stuff. So, you know, it's a time that it will seem like a lot of things are just not going the way we want them to go or expect them to go, or that they normally go. And, you know, and that's really all we can do is like, you know, look at why that's not happening. You know, it's an internalized energy. So it's time to like, kind of like do the abstract thought process of like figuring out why that's not happening from an internal standpoint individually, and then also, you know, on a societal level, collectively, like what is holding us back from being able to move forward. All right, let's look at the week now. There's 3 things I want to mention during the week too, and one of them is right away. This today is very, 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 very dynamic. So we just had Uranus conjunct the North Node yesterday on the 31st of July, which I talked about in the monthly July report and in last week's weekly. So if you need, you know, a little bit of review, but in general, really wanting to find, once again, new groups to connect with over stimulating alternative new ideas, having visions and dreams, maybe even about how to do that. Like, you know, just about how that can be done in the future. And with Taurus, it's wanting to make that stable, to bring in these new ideas and have stability within them too, like, so that they're a long-term thing. So now we have Mars coming up today, and remember, Mars is in Taurus, which is, as I said, really its most unhappy sign. It just is in detriment, doesn't get to move the way it likes to move. And so Mars conjuncts the North Node and the Uranus, both in Taurus, and at the same time Venus is sextiling all 3 of them. So that's really interesting. I mean, it's going to be an interesting week of exciting new connections with others, you know, and you know, getting the emotions charged up about like these connections and bringing a lot of like change and possibility into life. And so you're going to have probably a lot of electrical stimulating type conversations, connections, movement, actions, things that really start changing things, that, you know, are initiating that. But it can also be a very argumentative energy too, because once again, we're like attached, you know, to certain ideas and the way we want things to be. So like it can, you know, and Mars can even, with Uranus, can even bring, once again, very upsetting, explosive individual acts, possibly even of violence. But with Venus there's, you know, the sextiling that, there's once again, just like the North Node, saying, despite all of this, like, jagged energy, individualistic energy, alternative energy, there are people out there that you can connect with and, you know, and create new relationships with based on like similar ideals of what you're trying to get done, both as an individual and how that influences society and the collective. But Mars-Uranus energy can bring a lot of upsets. You know, we may see a lot of, like, once again, both natural and man-made disasters. It's a very rebellious energy. It's freedom-seeking. It honors the individual first, you know, and basically when that energy starts to get upset, it will turn usually on authorities. That's who will get the brunt of the anger and upset and the impulsive actions that can come out of that, which on an individual level, you know, we have to be aware of moving too fast, hurting ourselves somehow, you know, getting in an accident, an injury from just moving too fast. But like on a bigger level, you know, certain people may just like not be able to control themselves and like really get into some upsetting behavior and actions and even violence. So we have to be aware that that kind of stuff is very prevalent this week too. But it's really best to work on new innovative projects. When you think about Mars, Uranus alone, it gives you stimulating ideas, that gives you bursts of energy and really can like get you involved in stimulating new projects. But it also can bring in new friends, new lovers, new artistic connections very suddenly. Like just wow, all of a sudden comes into your life, which can really, you know, be stimulating, you know, and really, you know, bring a lot of excitement and fun in your life. But it's a jagged energy. It's energy that comes out in bursts and then settles and then comes out in bursts again. But there is this Venus North Node, and, you know, and Venus is the ruler of Taurus too, which is what the other three are in. So she's actually giving reception to those other three signs. So I mean, other 3 points and planets. So it's very interesting energy that there's like really a great chance and opportunity to make some really profound new relationship connections. And with Taurus, like I said, they can be really long-term and stabilized despite the Uranian energy. The Uranian energy will just bring in the new stuff, but Taurus can actually stabilize it. So also this week, Mercury is going to go into Virgo, and that is the other sign besides Gemini that Mercury rules. And I'm trying to I think it's Wednesday or Thursday. It goes into Virgo, and so that's the sign that Mercury is not only rules like Gemini, but it also is exalted in. So it's a double strong Mercury energy. And this is not the Mercury of Gemini. This is the Mercury energy of Virgo. This is when Mercury can really take out the fine-tooth comb and roll the sleeves up, get the tools out, get the knowledge that it has, make the proper judgments, and really be very effective in getting all the details of whatever projects you're working on done. So it's like really a fine-tooth comb. It's precision, you know, is what this Mercury is all about. And Mercury loves that, you know, that mental, intellectual precision and the ability to make very, very well thought out judgments and decisions. The ability to use all types of tools, both abstract and concrete, with the mind and the hands to create some physical, practical things that are needed within the real world. So Mercury's all about being practical and method, you know, and making sure that there's actually real world results that are going on. So knowing its methodologies and applying them properly to the projects that are going on. And so there's a very, very strong Mercury now. Now we can get, you know, there can be a lot of success, but we also have to remember Virgo energy can get us really into a judgmental mind. And it's best to use that on ourselves, not others, or we're gonna, you know, basically probably chase others off even, but having our high standards is very important to us at this point. So so that's why at times we can, harsh out on others and but it's a, really steady energy, really grounded energy, really practical methodologies, will, get a lot of success and will come out because of skills being used properly. And so that's why it's so strong there. We're going to have it there moving forward for a couple weeks or so until September 9th. And that's when Mercury will end up going retrograde, but we still have several weeks before that happens. And then, of course, since Mars conjuncts Uranus today, That means, since Uranus is square Saturn, and I mentioned at the beginning they're really tight, Mars will be squaring Saturn on the weekend, next weekend, and that's going to be a little frustrating for sure, because that's when we feel like our actions are being blocked or restricted by either the circumstances we're in or by, those who have some kind of authority over us. So our actions can get slowed down and restricted. And what that does with Mars Saturn is it like builds up like an inner anger, like that doesn't necessarily get expressed well, which can bring illness to the individual, but also like, and can end up getting us in battles, long battles with authorities and others, and have us feel really, really angry about that. But it's really about, to be successful, we have to take kind of almost like a cautious step-by-step approach. Have like the thought of like long-term, not a payoff that's going to come immediately, and have the attitude of like a long-distance runner, kind of like in the sense of just like, I got to weigh out my energy and make sure that there's enough for it to get through the whole thing. But yeah, so there's there's going to be a lot of challenge on that level, and just feeling those restrictions and those blockages can really bring a lot of anger up. But it's really about slowing down, just doing things step by step. Now, interestingly enough, Venus is squaring Eris also next weekend, which shows that certain relationships may, be chaotic towards feeling, or like, the changes that are going on in certain relationships are very difficult to keep up with. Yet at the same time, Venus is trining Neptune, which is a beautiful aspect of combining like what I call like conditional or human or lower love with unconditional or spiritual or higher love in a very harmonious way. So people have a lot of empathy and compassion and understanding and sensitivity for one another, and like, there's a lot of idealism involved in relationship, which much of which may prove to be just illusionary or whatever. But during that time, there's a really harmonious flow between people. They're very generous in giving and loving. Now, we also can have our imagination stimulated very much, and our idealism stimulated very much, and have a lot of like beauty in our lives, like the surroundings we're in, maybe like in nature, some beautiful place where there's a lot of fine objects and things like that. So really also getting a lot of inspiration, like on an artistic, creative level with that energy. And then when you have the square to Eris, that actually means you may take some of that inspiration and actually start to use it to bring some change into your life via art or relationships. So interesting mix of energy next weekend, where like a lot of actions may feel blocked. And some relationships may be a little edgy, but at the same time, there's like this almost greater understanding. All right, that's going to do it for this week and this month. This is Matt Lawton. This is the Astrological Winds channel. Like I said, it is on YouTube, and it is available every week. Become a follower if you have a YouTube account. Turn on your notifications. It's also on all kinds of podcasts. Just look it up, Astrological Winds channel. Instagram, ditto, look it up. Become a follower. There's bonus material there, sometimes during the day. And then also, I post the link on Facebook. You have to friend me privately first. Matthew with 2 T's, Lawton, Lauten. Best way you guys can pay me back for this free service is to please pass it on to someone else as soon as you're done listening here. Pass the link on. If you'd like to give a donation, like I said, I have a Venmo. The handle is the @ and that's the symbol @ Matthew with 2 T's, hyphen in the middle, Lawton, Lauten. And the other best way that you can support me is if you need a reading or someone else does. Like I said, I'm a professional astrologer for 20 years, been doing readings, natal charts, predictive work like this weather report, but for you, which I recommend around your birthday, relationship charts, elections for best timing of events, horary, fixed star readings, astrolocality, and if you have a group that you have an event that you want to have a lecture or mini readings on site, that's another thing I'm available for. Or if you have something that you'd like to have an article or something like that, all those things, email me at mattHue823@gmail.com, mattHue823@gmail.com. All right. We are sailing into August, and we will have a lot of challenges ahead of us, but a very interesting week here, and it should bring some excitement into our lives. Until next week, this is Matt Lawton signing off on the Astrological Winds channel.